Beloved, I invite you to awaken to the truth that blessings are not a promise far off in some uncertain future, but the living reality of this very day. The treasure you seek is not delayed. It is already here, awaiting your recognition. God's blessings are not rationed. They are not postponed. They are ever present, flowing ceaselessly, waiting only for your acceptance. Look not to the distant horizon, for today is the day of fulfillment. Every blessing begins in the unseen, in that sacred place within where your thoughts, feelings, and visions dwell. When you dare to imagine yourself already in possession of the good you desire, you have touched the fountain of God's blessings. The unseen is not less real than the seen. It is the womb from which all blessings are born. Faith is not waiting, faith is knowing. Faith is the invisible assurance that what you inwardly accept must outwardly appear. To walk in faith is to walk already clothed in your answered prayer, already rejoicing in the harvest, though the field appears bare. For what you claim within, life is compelled to mirror without. Today, decide to live as though the blessing has already arrived. Feel it, rejoice in it, celebrate it, speak as one who already has it. Let the song of gratitude rise from your heart now, not when the outer sign appears. Gratitude is the magnet of multiplication, and what you thank God for in spirit today must take form tomorrow. Do not wait for proof to believe, for proof is the child of belief. The world you walk through is but a mirror reflecting the state you occupy within. If you dwell in the consciousness of blessing, blessing shall surely surround you. If you abide in the thought of lack, lack will echo back. Choose wisely, for today's inner word becomes tomorrow's outer world. So I tell you, God's blessings are here, today, now, this very moment. They are waiting for you to accept them, to claim them, to live from them. Step into the awareness that all you have asked for is already done. Breathe it in. Walk as if it were so. For indeed it is so. Imagination is the sacred channel through which the blessings of God flow into our lives. It is not a child's game or a fleeting fantasy. It is the creative power that shapes the very fabric of our existence. Every image we hold within, whether in faith or in fear, becomes a seed planted in the invisible soil of consciousness, destined to bear fruit in the visible world. To recognize this truth is to awaken to the understanding that life does not happen to us by accident. It is born from the inner patterns we nurture, knowingly or unknowingly. This is what only we are able to see, but only, this is what only we. When you dare to imagine yourself in possession of what you desire, you are not engaging in idle dreaming, you are invoking the divine law of creation. The outer world is but a shadow, a reflection of the inner life you carry. What you hold within eventually solidifies into form without. If you entertain images of abundance, peace, and fulfillment, those images will clothe themselves in circumstance. If you dwell on lack, limitation, and despair, those too will take shape. The imagination is impartial. It simply gives form to what is impressed upon it. The blessing of imagination is that it allows you to step beyond appearances. Even if today's outer scene seems barren, within the theater of the mind, you can already live in the richness of answered prayer. You can see yourself healed, prosperous, loved, and free. And when you persist in this inner vision, refusing to bow to the evidence of the senses, the world must eventually rearrange itself to match your inner acceptance. Imagination is not a passive tool, it is the active doorway through which the unseen becomes seen. Consider that every invention, every work of art, every discovery began first in the imagination. The chair you sit upon, the building you enter, the device in your hand, all were once only images in the mind of someone who dared to believe in their unseen reality. So too with the blessings you desire. They must be conceived and received within before they can manifest without. The world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting what the imagination has already birthed. To use imagination consciously is to align with God's blessings today. It is to know that you are never waiting for good to come from outside, you are cultivating it from within. The moment you see yourself as blessed, favored, and guided in imagination, that moment you set the law of creation in motion. Life will conspire to confirm what you have accepted, doors will open, people will appear, and circumstances will unfold to give body to the vision you have cherished in secret. Guard your imagination with reverence, for it is the workshop of divine blessings. Do not squander it on fear or complaint, for those too will manifest. Instead, hold steadfastly to images of joy, abundance, and love. Embrace the reality of your blessing within and watch as the outer world reshapes itself in obedience. For truly, what you hold within, you must one day hold without. Faith is the unseen bridge between the invisible world of thought and the visible world of form. It is not mere hope, nor is it wishful thinking. Faith is substance. It is the invisible reality that precedes the outer manifestation. To believe is to hold in consciousness the conviction that what is unseen is already true, already alive, and already yours. When you believe, you clothe the unseen with substance, and that substance will eventually harden into fact in your daily life. Consider how the world around you has been shaped. Every structure, invention, or idea began as an unseen conviction in the heart of its creator. Long before the world could see it, the inventor already knew it. That knowing, that certainty, was faith. Faith does not wait for evidence. It creates the evidence. To walk in faith is to accept the invisible as more real than the visible, knowing that the visible is nothing but yesterday's faith made solid. When you believe in your blessing, you begin to embody it even before it arrives. If you believe in healing, you carry yourself as one already whole. If you believe in abundance, you think, speak, and act as one who is already supplied. The mind and body respond to this inner conviction, and circumstances align themselves to make that inner reality outwardly visible. Belief clothes itself in form. It cannot remain unseen forever. It must show itself in time and space, for that is the nature of faith. Doubt, on the other hand, is simply faith misplaced. To doubt is to give substance to the opposite of what you desire. If you fear lack, that fear becomes faith in scarcity, and life confirms it. If you expect disappointment, that expectation becomes faith in failure, and the world echoes it back. Faith is always working, whether directed toward what you desire or toward what you fear. This is why it is said that according to your faith it is done unto you. To practice true faith is to live from the end. To feel now what you would feel if your desire were already fulfilled. It is not straining nor begging, but resting in the assurance that what you have accepted inwardly must appear outwardly. Faith does not ask when or how. It knows the seed is planted and the harvest is certain. Just as a farmer does not dig up the soil each day to check if the seed is growing, faith does not waver or question. It waits with quiet confidence, knowing that the invisible process is already at work. Faith is not passive, it is active, dynamic, and creative. It is the energy that moves mountains, not by force but by conviction. When you align your belief with the truth of your blessing, the whole universe bends to clothe that belief in tangible form. Faith is not an accessory to life. It is the very substance from which life itself is woven. What you believe in your heart, you will one day hold in your hands. To live in the end is to step into the reality of your desire before the outer world gives you permission to do so. It is the conscious decision to assume the blessing as if it is already present today, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. This practice is not make-believe or pretense. It is the act of claiming in consciousness the truth of what you seek until the world around you bows to that inner conviction. Every change in life begins first within. And when you dare to live in the end, you place yourself in the very atmosphere of fulfillment. Look in the end means refusing to look to circumstances for confirmation. If you wait for the outer world to tell you when to feel blessed, you will always remain at its mercy. The outer world is but a shadow of your inner life, and a shadow cannot cast itself differently unless the object itself changes. By assuming the state of already having, already being, already doing, you become the cause that transforms the effect. The blessing begins the moment you take it in imagination as real. When you live in the end, you feel the joy, peace, and gratitude that would naturally accompany the fulfillment of your desire. You speak from it, think from it, and walk as if the prayer has already been answered. This inner alignment sends out a vibration so clear and steady that the world has no choice but to reorganize itself in harmony with your assumption. Life becomes the mirror, and the image you hold within becomes the reflection you see without. This principle is evident in everyday life. Imagine the difference between a person who feels defeated, waiting for success, and another who already carries themselves as successful before the evidence appears. The latter attracts opportunities, connections, and outcomes because they are living in the end of their desire. Their state of consciousness becomes a magnet for the corresponding experience. The blessing does not come because they are lucky, it comes because they dared to embody the end before it was visible. Living in the end also requires persistence. The senses may contradict you, and the outer world may appear unchanged for a time. Yet, if you hold fast to the inner vision and refuse to abandon your assumption, the invisible will clothe itself in form. The law of life guarantees that what you occupy inwardly must eventually show outwardly. The delay is not denial. It is the process of the unseen becoming seen. To live in the end is to free yourself from waiting. It is to release anxiety, doubt, and striving, and to rest in the awareness that it is already done. Today is the day of blessing, not a distant future. By assuming the reality of your desire now, you draw it closer with every thought and feeling. You no longer chase after blessings, you live from them. And as you remain faithful to this state, the world cannot help but echo back the fulfillment you have already embraced within. The inner word is the seed of creation. For every outer circumstance is but an echo of what has been spoken within. Life is not shaped by chance, nor is it ruled by external forces beyond your control. The hidden dialogue you carry in the silence of your mind is the true architect of your experience. What you whisper inwardly, whether in words, images, or feelings, becomes the command to which the outer world must respond. To understand this is to realize that your thoughts are never idle. Each inner statement plants itself in the soil of consciousness, and in time it bears fruit in the realm of form. If within yourself you repeatedly say, "I am lacking, I am forgotten, I am unworthy," then that inner decree becomes a law in your life, and outer circumstances will rise up to confirm it. On the other hand, when you declare inwardly, "I am blessed, I am favored, I am guided," the outer world must echo those words, often in ways you cannot foresee. The inner word carries creative power, because it is not merely mental chatter, it is the expression of belief. Belief is what gives weight and substance to the word. A casual thought may pass unnoticed, but a word, accepted in conviction, plants itself firmly and begins to shape the field of experience. This is why discipline of the inner conversation is vital. The tongue within is far more powerful than the tongue without. For while spoken words can influence others, it is the unspoken words of the heart that determine the script of your own life. Many unknowingly imprison themselves by careless inner speech. They dwell on failure, they repeat stories of limitation, and they rehearse fears until those fears become realities. Yet the same law that creates struggle can just as faithfully create blessing. By changing the inner word, you change the pattern of the outer world. The transformation begins, not with effort in the physical, but with mastery of the invisible conversation within. To practice this truth is to become aware of what you are saying to yourself throughout the day. When difficulties arise, do you echo defeat or declare victory? When challenges present themselves, do you speak inwardly of fear, or do you affirm guidance and strength? The answer reveals the direction your life will take, for the world simply reflects the state you inwardly affirm. To speak inwardly in alignment with blessing is to live as one already supplied, already healed, already favored. This inner word generates a vibration that draws to you people, opportunities, and events in harmony with it. Life begins to mirror back to you the very words you have claimed in the sanctuary of thought. The more steadfast you are in this inner decree, the more inevitable its outer fulfillment becomes. So guard the inner word as you would guard a precious treasure. Choose to speak life, abundance, peace, and joy within yourself, for these words will not remain hidden. They will clothe themselves in form and shape the outer stage upon which you walk. What you inwardly accept, your outer life must echo. For the world has no choice but to confirm the command of the inner word. Gratitude is not a reaction to blessings received, it is the very cause by which blessings appear. To wait until circumstances change before giving thanks is to misunderstand the creative power of gratitude. True gratitude is given in advance, in faith, in awareness of unseen blessings that are already yours in the invisible. When you give thanks before the evidence arrives, you align yourself with the vibration of fulfillment, and life must respond by multiplying the very things for which you are grateful. Gratitude now, not later, is the key that unlocks abundance. It is easy to thank after the harvest has been gathered, but the wise know to give thanks while the seed is still in the ground. This kind of gratitude is not dependent on sight, but on vision. It recognizes that what you inwardly accept is already done, and thanksgiving is the natural outpouring of that inner assurance. To say thank you before the blessing is visible is to declare, "I know it is mine already." That knowing draws the unseen into the seen. Consider how the heart feels when it is truly grateful. Gratitude lifts the spirit, softens resistance, and opens the door for more. A grateful mind cannot dwell on lack, for it is too busy celebrating sufficiency. A grateful heart cannot be heavy, for it beats in rhythm with joy. When you cultivate gratitude before the outer sign appears, you take possession of the blessing inwardly, and the world must follow. Blessings multiply in such soil because the state of gratitude is the state of receiving. So many delay their joy by saying, "I will be thankful when it happens." But the law of life works the opposite way. It happens because you are thankful. Gratitude is creative, not reactive. The moment you rejoice in what is unseen, you give it life. The more you celebrate, the more life offers you reasons to celebrate. The more you give thanks, the more circumstances arise to confirm your gratitude. This is the secret by which blessings multiply. Practice this daily. Rise in the morning and give thanks, not only for what has already appeared, but for the unseen blessings in motion. Thank for the answered prayer, thank for the provision, thank for the healing, thank for the opportunity, even before any outer sign is visible. This act is not delusion, it is faith in action. It is the acknowledgement that God's blessings are already here, waiting only for your recognition. Gratitude now is the song of the fulfilled heart. It draws your focus from what is missing to what is present, from longing to having, from waiting to receiving. It transforms your inner state, and the outer must mirror that transformation. To give thanks today, before the blessing shows itself, is to plant the seed of multiplied blessings tomorrow. Life cannot help but echo the gratitude you give in advance, for what is received in awareness must eventually be received in form. The present moment is the only place where life truly exists. Yesterday is but a memory, tomorrow is only an idea, but today is alive. To believe that blessings will come someday in the future is to keep them always out of reach. The truth is that today is the day of blessing, for there is no future apart from the now. Every fulfillment, every answered prayer, every dream realized must be experienced in the eternal present, for it is the only time there is. When you postpone your joy, waiting for conditions to align or for signs to appear, you unknowingly push your blessings away. The mind becomes trapped in longing, always expecting but never possessing. Yet the moment you claim your blessing as present now, you release yourself from delay and step into the state of fulfillment. You stop waiting for life to change and begin living as though it already has. That shift in consciousness is the very thing that brings outer change. The present moment carries creative power because it is alive with awareness. To dwell on the past is to reanimate what is already gone, and to fixate on the future is to live in shadows. But when you anchor yourself in the now, you discover that the richness you seek is already here, in seed form. Every breath, every thought, every inner assumption in this moment is shaping the next. By embracing the present as already full, you set in motion a chain of events that must confirm your state. Living in the present as fulfillment means choosing to feel today what you would feel if your desire were already complete. Instead of saying, "One day I will be blessed," you say, "I am blessed now." Instead of "Someday I will be free," you declare, "I am free today." This is not self-deception, it is recognition of truth, for all possibilities exist in this eternal now. What you choose to embody in this moment determines what will unfold. The mind often resists this truth, insisting that evidence must come first. Yet the law of life operates in reverse. Assume it now, and the evidence will follow. The present moment is the seedbed of creation. If you occupy lack in the now, you ensure more lack in the future. But if you occupy fulfillment in the now, you guarantee its unfolding. Everything depends on the state you occupy in this living moment. To see today as the day of blessing is to rest in peace. It removes striving, waiting, and anxious expectation. It opens the heart to gratitude, for you no longer live in absence, but in presence. The blessing is not something to chase, it is something to recognize. And the recognition happens now, never later. So let this moment be your sanctuary. Breathe deeply and declare within, today I live in the blessing. Feel it, embrace it, rejoice in it. For life responds only to the now, and when the now is full, the future cannot help but echo it. Truly, there is no future apart from this eternal moment, and this moment is already complete. In the end, we see that God's blessings are not distant promises, but present realities. They move through imagination. They take shape through faith. They manifest when we dare to live in the end, and they echo the inner word we choose to accept. Gratitude multiplies them, and the present moment reveals them. To walk in this awareness is to walk already fulfilled, already supplied, already blessed. Life is not waiting to give to you. You are invited to receive now. Today is the day of blessing, and as you claim it within, the outer world must unfold to match it. Thank you for sharing this sacred moment of truth, and may you step forward knowing that God's blessings are already yours, today and always. Beloved souls, let us enter into the sacred atmosphere of prayer, not as beggars seeking what we lack, but as children awakening to what has already been given. True prayer is not a cry of desperation. It is the gentle recognition that God has already finished His work. All that we desire is already present in the unseen, awaiting our acceptance. When we thank God, we declare the work complete. Gratitude is not a polite courtesy. It is the language of fulfillment. To say thank you from the heart is to proclaim that what we once longed for is now real within us. In that moment, the unseen blessing takes form in the realm of our awareness, and soon the outer world must bow to that inner conviction. Prayer is communion. It is not endless words, but the still assurance that what we imagine in love and faith is the voice of God speaking through us. When you close your eyes and dare to feel yourself in possession of the answered prayer, you have already touched eternity. You have entered into union with the divine. We are not waiting for blessings to descend from the sky. We are awakening to the blessings already flowing through us. The eternal present is the only place where God dwells, and it is here, in this very moment, that the fullness of life is accessible. Every dream fulfilled, every prayer answered, every healing complete. It all exists now. Let our prayer be stillness. Let our prayer be thanksgiving. Let our prayer be the acceptance of the truth that what we desire is already ours. And as we rise from that inner sanctuary, let us walk as though it were done, because in truth it is done. Beloved, gratitude is the magnet of miracles. To live in thankfulness is to live in the rain of blessings. When we thank God before the evidence appears, the evidence cannot resist appearing. This is the law of faith, the law of creation, the law of life itself. So let us pray now, not with restless hearts, but with joyful assurance. Father, I thank you that you have already heard me. I thank you that it is finished. I thank you that the fullness of life, health, wealth, peace, and love is already mine. And as we give thanks, the blessing unfolds. Prayer is often misunderstood as an act of pleading or begging before God, hoping that He might look down with favor and grant a request. But in truth, prayer is not asking, it is aligning. It is the gentle turning inward to recognize that everything we seek is already provided. The eternal source has finished His work from the foundation of the world, and every blessing we long for already exists in the invisible. Prayer then is the sacred act of aligning our thoughts, feelings, and awareness with what has already been given. To pray rightly is to step into a state of inner agreement with God's abundance. When we pray with the belief that we lack, we strengthen the sense of lack within us. But when we pray with the conviction that the gift has already been placed in our hands, we raise our awareness to meet it. This is why the truest form of prayer is thanksgiving. Gratitude declares, "It is already mine." In this shift of consciousness, we no longer reach outward but turn inward, recognizing that the answer lives in us, waiting to be expressed. Think of prayer as a tuning fork. When struck, it vibrates at a certain frequency. If another instrument nearby shares that frequency, it too will begin to resonate. Likewise, when we hold within us the feeling of our desire fulfilled, our entire being resonates with that state, and the outer world harmonizes with it. We are not trying to force God to move, we are aligning ourselves to the vibration of what is already complete in Him. Prayer is communion, not communication. It is not about informing God of our needs, for He already knows. It is about aligning with His eternal provision. When you sit in stillness and feel the reality of your prayer as accomplished, you have entered into oneness with the divine. In that moment, you are no longer separate from the blessing, you are living in it. And the more real this inner state becomes to you, the more quickly the outer world must reflect it back to you. This is why imagination and feeling are central to prayer. The moment you imagine yourself in possession of your desire and you feel the joy of its fulfillment, you have already touched the reality of it. It exists now in the unseen, and prayer anchors it within your awareness. From that point, you need not ask again, for asking would imply it is still absent. Instead, you remain aligned, resting in the assurance that the unseen will soon take form. True prayer is a shift in identity. It is moving from the self who longs to the self who has. It is stepping out of the state of waiting and into the state of receiving. And once you align with the truth that all is already given, your life becomes a testimony of answered prayer. For the outer must always mirror the inner, and the one who aligns in faith will surely walk in blessings made visible. Gratitude is far more than a polite response or a social virtue. It is a spiritual act of completion, a declaration that the blessing you once desired is now yours. To thank God is to stand in the reality of fulfillment, not in the hope of future provision. Gratitude does not wait until the outer evidence arrives. It begins in the unseen, where all creation is finished. The moment you say thank you with sincerity and faith, you have stepped into possession of the gift. Many approach gratitude as a reaction, expressing thanks only after something good has been received. Yet true gratitude is not a reaction. It is a cause. It is the very power that magnetizes blessings into form. When you thank God before your eyes can see the answer, you are acknowledging that the answer already exists. You are saying, I have it now, even if the world has not yet caught up to that truth. This is the kind of gratitude that opens doors, softens obstacles, and accelerates manifestation. Gratitude works because it changes your state of being. It shifts you from longing to having, from waiting to receiving. When you dwell in lack, your energy and focus affirm that something is missing. But when you live in gratitude, your entire being resonates with abundance. You begin to carry yourself as one who is already blessed, and life mirrors that consciousness back to you in countless ways. Imagine holding a prayer in your heart. If you continually beg for it, you declare that you do not yet have it. But the moment you say, "Thank you, Father, for already granting this," you place yourself in alignment with the answer. Gratitude seals the prayer. It is the final stroke that completes the picture. It says the matter is settled, the blessing is secure, and the manifestation is inevitable. Gratitude also expands what you receive. A thankful heart multiplies blessings because it recognizes them even in their seed form. When you see small signs of answered prayer and give thanks for them, you water the seed with appreciation and it grows into a harvest. Ingratitude, on the other hand, stifles growth, for it overlooks the present blessing while demanding another. But the one who lives in gratitude will never run dry, for they are tuned to the frequency of abundance. This is why the greatest masters of faith lived in thanksgiving. They did not wait for evidence before expressing thanks. Their gratitude was a testimony of trust, a declaration that the invisible was as real as the visible. And inevitably, what they gave thanks for appeared, because the universe responds to the heart that already knows it is blessed. So let gratitude be your constant prayer. Wake each morning with thanks, as though everything you desire has already unfolded. Walk through your day with a heart of completion, knowing that the blessing is already yours in spirit and therefore must become yours in form. Gratitude is not the end of the journey, it is the fulfillment itself. To thank God is to stand in the promise realized, the prayer answered, the blessing secure. Imagination is not a mere daydream or idle fancy. It is the sacred place where man communes with God. It is the inner sanctuary where desires are conceived, shaped, and clothed in feeling until they emerge into the outer world as lived experiences. To imagine is to enter into communion with the infinite, for whatever you accept within the realm of imagination is received by the deeper self as truth. And what is accepted inwardly must eventually appear outwardly. Every creation begins first as an image within. Nothing in this world can manifest without first being pictured and felt in consciousness. The clothes you wear, the house you live in, the very life you experience, all were once imagined, whether consciously or unconsciously. Imagination is the workshop of creation, and feeling is the seal that makes the imagined real. It is not enough to merely think of something, you must feel it, as though it were already yours. Feeling gives life to the image, and the image, once alive, begins to shape the world around you. This is why imagination is true communion. When you close your eyes and see yourself living the life you desire, you are not playing a game. You are entering into dialogue with God, who hears through the language of feeling. The moment you feel the joy, the relief, or the peace of already having what you long for, you have touched the divine. You have declared to the unseen, "This is my reality," and the unseen responds by arranging the outer world to reflect it. Think of the times when fear or worry took hold of you. You imagined unfavorable outcomes, and with feeling you rehearsed them in your mind. Soon, circumstances appeared that confirmed those fears. This is the negative use of imagination, yet it proves the same law. What you inwardly accept in feeling becomes your lived reality. If this is true of fear, how much more powerful it is when applied with faith, love, and gratitude. To imagine rightly is to assume the state of the answered prayer. If you desire abundance, you must not imagine yourself as one in lack, waiting and hoping. Instead, you see yourself already provided for, already enjoying the richness of life, and you feel the contentment of that fulfillment. This inner acceptance becomes a communion so deep that you no longer seek outward proof. You already know it is done. Imagination is not escape from reality. It is the foundation of reality. The world you see outside is only the shadow of what humanity has collectively imagined within. To change your world, you must first change the images you hold and the feelings you nurture. When you discipline your imagination to dwell only on what is lovely, pure, and already fulfilled, you walk in unbroken communion with God, for you and He are creating together. Cherish your imagination. Guard it carefully, for it is the meeting place of heaven and earth. When you inwardly accept with feeling the life you desire, you have already communed with the divine, and your outer world has no choice but to bow to that vision. Imagination is not fantasy, it is creation, and creation is communion with the very heart of God. Faith is often misunderstood as a patient waiting for something to arrive in the future. But true faith is not waiting, it is knowing. It is the awareness that all blessings exist in the eternal present, and nothing is withheld from us except by our own refusal to see. The moment you place your desire in the future, you separate yourself from it. You declare, "It is not mine yet," and in doing so, you push it further away. But when you step into faith in the now, you realize that everything you could ever want already exists here, in this timeless moment. The eternal present is God's dwelling place. God is not in yesterday or tomorrow, but in the eternal I am. This I am is your own awareness of being. When you declare with faith, "I am healed, I am prosperous, I am loved," you are not making a wish for a future event. You are affirming the eternal truth of who you are in this moment. And because the outer world must eventually conform to the state you occupy within, the blessing becomes visible in your lived experience. Faith in the now requires a shift in perspective. It calls you to abandon the habit of waiting and to step into the boldness of having. Many spend their lives hoping for tomorrow, praying for someday, but tomorrow never comes. There is only now. When you feel yourself already in possession of your desire, you collapse the illusion of time and enter the reality where the blessing already exists. The outer manifestation is simply the shadow that follows. Think of a seed planted in the soil. The tree exists within the seed now, not in the future. Though your eyes cannot yet see its branches, its reality is already present in invisible form. So too are your blessings. Faith does not say, "One day I will see it." Faith says, "It is mine now." And because it is mine now, it must unfold. This inner knowing becomes the bridge that carries the unseen into the seen. Living in faith in the now transforms how you walk through life. Instead of approaching God as a distant giver, you commune with Him as a present reality. You no longer pray from longing, but from fulfillment, saying with gratitude, Father, I thank you that it is already so. This confidence releases all anxiety and striving, for you are no longer chasing after blessings, you are resting in them. When you embody faith in the now, the future bends to your state of being. The people, circumstances, and opportunities that seem far off begin to arrange themselves in alignment with your inner conviction. The outer world is compelled to echo the inner state. What was once distant appears close. What seemed impossible becomes natural. And what you once waited for greets you in the present. Live now as though every prayer were already answered. Feel now as though every desire were already fulfilled. For in truth they are. All creation is finished, and all blessings exist in the eternal present. Faith is not waiting, it is awakening. And when you awaken, you discover that you already stand in the garden of answered prayers. Stillness is not emptiness, it is the doorway through which we receive. In the noise of the outer world, we often search for answers, guidance, and blessings, yet the true voice of creation whispers from within. To receive through stillness is to quiet the clamor of the senses, to withdraw attention from appearances, and to listen to the inner word that shapes reality. The outer world is but a reflection, a shadow cast by the movements of the inner life. When the inner is stilled, purified, and focused, the outer must follow. Most people believe that striving, effort, or constant repetition brings results. But it is not the frantic activity of the mind that creates, it is the calm acceptance of the inner word. When you still yourself and enter into that sacred silence, you step into the creative workshop of God. It is in that silence where images are impressed, where feelings are accepted, and where prayers are answered. You need not wrestle with circumstances or argue with appearances. Quiet the senses and let the truth of your desire be spoken within. In stillness, imagination becomes alive. With closed eyes and a restful heart, you can hear the inner word more clearly than the voices of the outer world. That word may come as an image, a scene, a feeling of peace, or a simple knowing that it is done. Whatever form it takes, when you accept it in the stillness, it becomes the seed of manifestation. The seed does not grow in noise or haste. It grows in the quiet soil of belief. Consider how often the outer senses deceive. You may see lack, feel limitation, or hear words of doubt. But in stillness, you withdraw from those false reports and turn your gaze inward. There you see abundance, you feel fulfillment, you hear the word of completion. The outer world will eventually conform, but it cannot lead. The inner word must always speak first. Stillness is not passive, it is powerful. It is not about doing nothing, but about resting in the assurance that all is done. When you enter that silence and allow yourself to feel the reality of your answered prayer, you shift your state of being. That shift is the true act of receiving. You need not chase blessings. They are drawn to the still heart that has already received within. The greatest transformations often happen not in the noise of effort, but in the quiet moments of surrender. A few minutes of true stillness can do more for your life than hours of restless worry. In that silence, you commune with the divine. You move beyond the world of appearances and step into the eternal truth, where every desire is already fulfilled. Where every desire is already fulfilled. So, when you seek to receive, go within. Turn off the noise, silence the doubts, close the eyes, and listen. The inner word is speaking. Accept it as reality. Feel it as already accomplished. Then rise from that stillness, not with desperation, but with quiet confidence. For what has been received within must in time appear without. The outer world has no choice but to echo the word spoken in stillness. To live in the fulfillment of your desire is the highest form of faith. It is not to wait for evidence before rejoicing, but to walk now as though the prayer were already answered. When you live as though it is done, you step into the state of the blessing itself, and life must rearrange to reflect it. The unseen responds to the posture of your being, and the one who assumes fulfillment inwardly will surely experience it outwardly. Many confuse faith with hope. Hope looks to the future, always expecting but never arriving. Faith, however, is fulfillment. It declares that the future is already here. To live in the fulfillment means you no longer identify yourself with longing or lack. You think, feel, and act as one who already possesses what was once only desired. This shift in identity is the secret. For as long as you see yourself as one waiting, you will wait. But when you accept yourself as one who has, you open the door for the world to mirror that state back to you. Living in the fulfillment is not about pretending or forcing belief. It is about dwelling in the inner conviction that what you desired is already yours. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself in the scene of fulfillment, and you feel the joy, the relief, or the peace of that reality, you have already entered into the state. The key is not to leave it behind when you rise, but to carry it into your daily life. Speak, walk, and think from that state, and it will become the atmosphere you breathe. Consider a person who has prayed for healing. If they continue to act as one unwell, dwelling in fear and expectation of sickness, they live in contradiction to their own prayer. But if they live in fulfillment, speaking as one whole, feeling as one strong, moving as one free, they step into the state of health, and the body follows. The same is true in every area of life. The fulfillment you embody inwardly eventually becomes the experience you encounter outwardly. The outer world has no choice but to conform to the inner assumption. Living in fulfillment is the law of creation applied. You do not wait for conditions to change before you change your state. You change your state, and the conditions adjust themselves. You act not from the desire to make it happen, but from the certainty that it already has. This way of living also frees the heart from anxiety. You no longer chase after blessings or measure time with frustration because you know you already hold the gift within. Gratitude becomes natural, peace becomes constant, and joy flows without effort. Life ceases to be a struggle of pursuit and becomes a dance of unfolding. To live in fulfillment is to declare it is done. It is to inhabit the finished work and rest in its reality. And as you do, the shadow world of appearances must eventually align. For the one who lives in the state of the answered prayer will surely walk in the blessing made visible. Beloved, prayer is not a cry into the distance, nor is it a plea for what is missing. It is the recognition of completion, the quiet acceptance that God has already provided all that we could ever need. To thank Him is to stand in the fullness of His abundance. To imagine with faith is to commune with His creative power. To rest in stillness is to hear the word that shapes worlds. And to live in fulfillment is to walk as though every prayer were already answered, because in truth they are. When we align inwardly, when we clothe our desires with gratitude and faith, the outer world has no choice but to reflect that state. Every blessing, every miracle, every answered prayer is already here in the eternal present. Our task is not to strive or to wait, but to awaken and receive. So let us go forth with thankful hearts, with imaginations alive, with faith rooted in the now. Let us live as though the blessing were already ours, for in the unseen it is already complete. And as we live in that awareness, the invisible will become visible, and life will reveal its hidden treasures in ways more beautiful than we could ever plan. Say thanks, closing line. Thank you for listening, and may each of you walk in the joy of answered prayer, the peace of stillness, and the overflowing blessings that are already yours. My friends, prayer is not the act of pleading with God to change our circumstances. Prayer is thanksgiving, an inner acknowledgement that what we desire has already been given. When we bow our heads in gratitude, we are not asking for blessings. We are recognizing that blessings already surround us. Gratitude is the gateway to answered prayer. When you say thank you with your whole heart, you align yourself with the abundance that is already yours. You see, prayer is not an attempt to bring something from outside into your life. Prayer is the recognition that everything you seek is already within you, waiting for your acceptance. To thank God is to live as though your prayer has already been answered. If you desire health, walk in the joy of being healthy now. If you desire abundance, give thanks as if the abundance is already flowing. The unseen response to the posture of your heart. Our inner conversations matter. What are you saying to yourself in the silence of the night? If those words are filled with gratitude and assurance, then life must echo back the same. Every thank you you whisper is a seed planted, and every seed of gratitude grows into a harvest of blessings. Faith is not seeing with the eyes, it is knowing with certainty. When you thank God before the evidence appears, you demonstrate trust in the unseen, and the unseen becomes seen. So today, let your prayer be simple. Father, I thank you. All that I need is already mine. All that I desire is already done. Let your heart overflow with thanksgiving, for in gratitude you have already received. And as you walk in that spirit of thankfulness, life will open doors, bring opportunities, and unfold blessings greater than you can imagine. Prayer is not waiting, it is receiving. Prayer is not asking, it is thanksgiving. Prayer is not hoping, it is knowing. Gratitude is not simply saying thank you with your lips, it is the very atmosphere in which blessings flourish. When you cultivate a spirit of thanksgiving, you are creating an inner environment that welcomes abundance. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is already present. It allows you to see life not as a series of problems to be solved, but as a gift continuously unfolding. The moment you feel genuine thankfulness, you align with the higher order of life, where every prayer is already answered. Most people approach prayer from a place of need, hoping to persuade God to grant their requests. But true prayer does not begin with need, It begins with recognition. It is the recognition that everything necessary for your growth, joy, and fulfillment has already been provided. Gratitude is the key that unlocks this recognition. When you give thanks, you are affirming that your desire is already here in seed form, waiting to bloom. You are not reaching outward for something distant. You are acknowledging inwardly that the blessing has already taken root. Think about the difference between a person who prays with desperation and a person who prays with thanksgiving. The desperate heart prays as though God is withholding, as though life has to be convinced to give. But the thankful heart prays as though the answer is already assured, as though life has already delivered the gift. Gratitude changes the quality of prayer because it changes the quality of consciousness. It transforms prayer from begging into receiving, from wishing into knowing. When you give thanks in advance, you are rehearsing the feeling of your desire fulfilled. You are living in the end, embodying the reality of answered prayer before the evidence appears. Gratitude teaches you to feel rich even before the wealth arrives, to feel healthy even before the body is restored, to feel loved even before the relationship manifests. By doing this, you are tuning your inner vibration to match the blessing, and life must reflect that vibration back to you. Gratitude, then, is not a passive attitude, it is a creative force. It is impossible to hold deep gratitude and remain in fear or doubt. The thankful heart knows that all things are working together for good, even when the evidence is not yet visible. Gratitude dissolves resistance and opens the way for blessings to flow freely. Imagine gratitude as a doorway. On one side of the door is anxiety, lack, and longing. On the other side is peace, abundance, and fulfillment. Each sincere thank you swings that door wide open. Each moment of appreciation moves you closer to the realization of your answered prayer. The foundation of all answered prayer is thanksgiving, because thanksgiving is acceptance. It is saying, I already have it. It is already mine. Gratitude is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the invisible and the visible. To live in gratitude is to live in faith, and to live in faith is to experience the continuous unfolding of blessings. Living in the end means to step beyond the limitations of what is presently seen and to dwell in the reality of your fulfilled desire. It is not about hoping or wishing that one day things will change. It is about inwardly accepting that the change has already taken place. Prayer, in this higher sense, is not pleading with God or asking life to deliver what you lack. True prayer is assuming the state of the wish fulfilled, to enter into the experience of already having what you once longed for. When you live in the end, you are no longer a seeker, you are a receiver. The ordinary way of thinking approaches prayer as if God is far away, holding blessings in reserve, waiting for the right moment to release them. This perspective keeps you in a state of waiting, always postponing the day of fulfillment. But when you understand that prayer is assuming the end, you realize that the moment you feel the desire accomplished within, the prayer is complete. You no longer live in the anxiety of when or how it will happen, for you have already shifted your consciousness into the state of its realization. Living in the end requires imagination. It is the art of picturing yourself already in possession of your desire and, more importantly, feeling the reality of it. If you desire peace, you must feel peace now, even if outer circumstances are chaotic. If you desire abundance, you must walk in the assurance of abundance now, even if the bank account tells a different story. The feeling of the end is what draws the end into expression. Life mirrors your inner assumption, not your outer complaints. The difference between begging and assuming is the difference between lack and fulfillment. Begging emphasizes that you do not yet have what you want. It strengthens the sense of separation between you and the blessing. But assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled erases that separation. It says, I already am, I already have, I already live in this reality. This assumption is not daydreaming, it is faith in action. It is aligning your inner world with the truth of your desire, which then compels the outer world to conform. When you live in the end, you carry yourself differently. Your tone of voice, your choices, your outlook, all begin to reflect the person who has already received. Instead of waiting for life to change so you can feel fulfilled, you bring the fulfillment into this present moment and allow life to catch up. Living in the end is therefore not passive, but profoundly active. It is choosing to dwell in the unseen reality with such conviction that it becomes impossible for the outer world to resist its manifestation. There is often a debate about what the impossible truth is. Every answered prayer begins as an inner assumption. When you make your prayer by living in the end, you no longer strive or struggle. You rest in the assurance that it is already done, and in that rest, in that quiet confidence, the unseen becomes seen, and what was once a desire becomes your lived reality. The most powerful words you will ever hear are not spoken by others, but whispered within the silence of your own mind. Your inner conversations are the invisible builders of your outer world. Every day, without pause, you are speaking to yourself inwardly, and those silent dialogues shape the course of your life. What you repeatedly say within becomes the state you live in, and that state must eventually express itself in the world around you. Often we believe that our circumstances dictate our thoughts, but the reverse is true. It is the thoughts and conversations we entertain inwardly that give birth to circumstances. If your inner speech is full of complaints, worries, and doubts, then life must echo back situations that match those tones. If your inner dialogue is filled with gratitude, faith, and assurance, then your outer life will mirror that peace and abundance. You cannot escape the creative power of inner speech, for it is the continuous prayer you are always praying, whether consciously or not. Think for a moment about how you speak to yourself in quiet moments. Do you rehearse past failures, argue with imagined opponents, or replay scenes of disappointment? If so, those conversations are laying the foundation for more of the same experiences. But if instead you choose to construct uplifting inner dialogues, speaking as though your desire is already fulfilled, you are planting seeds of blessing that must bloom in due time. The secret is not in struggling against unwanted thoughts, but in gently redirecting them. Each time you catch yourself drifting into negative speech, replace it with the words of fulfillment and thanksgiving. Inner conversation is not idle chatter. It is the substance of creation itself. Every word carries an emotional charge, and every repeated charge builds momentum until it crystallizes into reality. That is why prayer is less about spoken words and more about sustained inner speech. You may say with your lips that you trust God, but if within you are constantly saying, I don't know what I'll do, things never work out for me, then that inner confession outweighs the outer one. Life responds not to the words you say occasionally, but to the inner dialogue you dwell in consistently. The beauty of this truth is that you are never powerless. At any moment you can choose to rewrite your inner script. You can begin to carry on silent conversations that affirm your desires instead of denying them. Speak to yourself as though you are already healed, already prosperous, already loved, already guided. Let those words echo within until they feel natural, until the state they imply becomes your resting place. When your inner conversations are aligned with your desires, life has no choice but to align with them as well. What is rehearsed inwardly must be dramatized outwardly. Therefore, guard the silence of your mind. Make it a sanctuary of faith and thanksgiving. For the world you inhabit tomorrow will be nothing more than the harvest of the conversations you are having within yourself today. Faith in the invisible is the quiet strength that allows us to stand firm even when our outer world shows no evidence of change. It is the ability to trust in blessings that the eyes cannot yet see, but the heart already knows are present. This kind of faith is not blind, it is deeply intuitive. It understands that everything visible was once invisible, and that the unseen is the true source of all manifestation. To have faith in the invisible is to anchor your life not in appearances, but in the certainty that what you desire already exists in a higher reality and is moving toward expression. When we pray, we often look for immediate confirmation in the physical world. If the evidence does not appear quickly, doubt creeps in, and we believe our prayer has gone unheard. But the truth is that faith begins where sight ends. The seed of a tree lies buried in the dark soil long before it breaks through the ground. The farmer does not despair when nothing is visible. He trusts the process because he knows the seed is alive and growing. Likewise, when you trust in the invisible, you are holding the vision of your desire as already fulfilled, even while the surface of life appears unchanged. Faith is an inner seeing. It is imagining the end and resting in the assurance that it is already accomplished. The invisible world of thought and feeling is far more potent than the shifting scenes of the visible world. If you wait for outer evidence before you believe, you will always be at the mercy of circumstances. But if you dare to believe first, if you dare to live in the conviction of the unseen, you set in motion forces that must bring the invisible into visibility. Trusting unseen blessings requires discipline. The senses will constantly present evidence that contradicts your desire. The bank account may show lack, the body may show weakness, relationships may appear strained. But faith refuses to bow to appearances. It does not deny them. It simply refuses to give them final authority. Faith acknowledges the outer world, but gives its loyalty to the inner vision. It says, I walk by trust, not by sight. I know my blessing exists, even if I cannot yet touch it. There is a quiet joy that comes with faith in the invisible. Instead of being tossed about by every change in circumstance, you learn to rest in assurance. You carry yourself as one who has already received. This inner rest is not passivity, it is power. It signals to life that you are aligned with your desire and the outer world must eventually conform. Every answered prayer passes through the invisible before it becomes visible. Faith is the bridge. The moment you trust unseen blessings as real, you magnetize them into form. Life cannot withhold what you steadfastly believe to be yours. To live in faith is to live as though the blessing is already here, and in due time, the invisible will bow to your conviction and appear in radiant clarity before your eyes. Prayer as acceptance is the realization that everything we could ever ask for has already been given. It is not the pleading of a beggar, but the acknowledgement of an heir. When you pray in this way, you are not asking God to act on your behalf, you are recognizing that the act is already complete. The blessing is not something to be sent from afar, it is already present, awaiting only your acceptance. True prayer, therefore, is not an effort to convince, persuade, or implore, but a quiet surrender to the truth that it is already done. To ask repeatedly is to confess lack. Every time you beg for what you desire, you reinforce the idea that you do not yet possess it. But to accept is to rest in the assurance that you already have it in the unseen, and because it exists there, it must reveal itself in the visible. Acceptance is the difference between striving and receiving. When you accept, you align your inner state with the fulfillment of your desire, and life reflects that state back to you. Consider how a gift works. When someone offers you a gift, you do not beg them for it. You extend your hand, receive it, and say thank you. Prayer is the same. The blessing is already extended. Your task is not to struggle for it, but to take it with a grateful heart. Acceptance is the act of reaching out inwardly, saying, yes, this is mine, and living in that awareness, just as you would not continue asking for a gift already in your hands. You should not continue asking for what is already yours in spirit. This shift in perspective transforms prayer. Instead of a constant effort to be heard, prayer becomes a calm assurance of being answered. You move from the posture of longing into the posture of thanksgiving. When you accept that it is already done, your words change, your feelings change, and your actions change. You no longer live as someone waiting, you live as someone possessing. This inner change is the prayer itself, and it is always answered. Acceptance requires trust. The senses may argue that nothing has changed, but acceptance is not dependent on appearances. It is rooted in the conviction that what you have inwardly accepted must one day be expressed outwardly. Just as a seed planted in the soil is accepted as a future tree, even before it breaks through the ground, so too must you accept your desire as complete before it appears in form. The beauty of prayer as acceptance is its simplicity. There is no strain, no bargaining, no desperate attempts to win divine favor. It is simply resting in the truth. It is already mine. From this place of acceptance, gratitude flows naturally, joy arises effortlessly, and peace becomes your constant companion. You no longer measure the timing or method of fulfillment, for you know the work is already done. Prayer is never about convincing God to move. It is about allowing yourself to receive. Acceptance opens the door to that reception. When you stop asking and start accepting, you step into the reality where every blessing already exists. And in that state, life must reveal what you have claimed. Receiving mode is not a passive state, but an active alignment of the heart with the flow of blessings. To be in receiving mode is to cultivate an attitude of openness, gratitude, and expectancy. A thankful heart is never closed, for gratitude itself is the vibration of receptivity. When you live in thankfulness, you are signaling to life that you are ready for more, that you trust the abundance of the universe, and that you welcome every gift with joy. Many people block their blessings not because they are undeserving, but because they are not open to receive. They dwell in worry, self-doubt, or feelings of lack, and these states act like closed doors. Even when good things approach, they cannot enter a heart that resists them. Gratitude, however, swings those doors wide open. The moment you say thank you sincerely and consistently, you create space for greater blessings to flow in. It is like breathing. You exhale in thankfulness and naturally inhale more of life's goodness. Receiving mode is also about letting go of control. When you live in gratitude, you no longer try to dictate how or when the blessing must arrive. You trust that the answer is already here and will unfold in the perfect way. A thankful heart does not demand, it allows. And in that allowing, the unseen blessings find their way into form without obstruction. Gratitude dissolves resistance because it carries no struggle. It is a soft but powerful acceptance of abundance, and abundance always responds to it. Think of the person who is constantly complaining, focusing only on what they lack. Even when small gifts arrive, they overlook them or dismiss them as insignificant. Such a person is not in receiving mode. In contrast, the one who appreciates even the smallest blessing, a smile, a meal, a kind word, creates a field of openness. Life looks upon that person and says, "Here is one who values what I give. Let me give more." Gratitude multiplies what it touches because it keeps the channel of receiving clear and unclogged. Being in receiving mode is not about passively waiting for miracles. It is about actively embodying the state of having. You walk with joy as though the blessing is already yours, and this joy attracts more reasons to be joyful. You speak words of gratitude as though abundance is flowing right now, and life echoes back with proof of your faith. Your thankful heart becomes a magnet for blessings because it already lives in the frequency of fulfillment. The truth is that blessings never cease flowing. The only question is whether we are open to receive them. Gratitude is the switch that turns on the flow. The more thankful you are, the more receptive you become, and the more receptive you are, the more life can entrust to you. A thankful heart lives in perpetual harvest, for it knows that giving thanks is receiving, and receiving is giving thanks again. When we understand the true nature of prayer, we see it not as pleading for change, but as stepping into the reality where change is already complete. Gratitude opens the way, living in the end sustains the vision, inner conversations shape the path, faith in the invisible strengthens us, acceptance seals the blessing, and a thankful heart keeps us in receiving mode. Together, these truths remind us that we are never waiting for life to give, we are only awakening to receive what has always been ours. So let your prayer be gratitude, let your faith be unwavering, let your inner words be uplifting, and let your heart remain open. Walk as though the blessing is already here, because it is. Live in thanksgiving, and life will continually answer with more reasons to give thanks. Thank you for sharing this moment, for opening your hearts, and for joining in this journey of prayer and blessing. May your days ahead be filled with peace, joy, and the unfolding of every good thing already prepared for you. Beloved friends, today we gather in the spirit of thanksgiving, not as beggars pleading for mercy, but as children of God who already live in His abundance. Prayer of thanks is not an empty formality. It is the highest acknowledgement that what we have asked for has already been granted. When we close our eyes in gratitude, We are not thanking God for something yet to arrive. No, we are affirming that it is already ours, here and now. The unseen blessing is just as real as the visible one, and by our thanksgiving, we clothe it in form until it appears before us. To thank God is to live in the end, to rejoice in fulfillment before the outer world has confirmed it. This is the secret of answered prayer. Gratitude seals the covenant. It is the invisible handshake with the divine saying, I believe it is done. We must learn to rest in this attitude of the heart, where every word of thanks is a seed planted in the fertile soil of faith. As we persist, these seeds grow into a harvest of abundance, joy, health, and peace. So let our prayer today be not of longing, but of thanksgiving. Let us speak as though we have already received, for in truth we have. Every blessing you can imagine is already alive within you, awaiting only your recognition. And as we thank God, not tomorrow, not someday, but now, we draw into our world the very things for which we are grateful. Thanksgiving is not the end of prayer, it is its fulfillment. It is the power that multiplies blessings, turning little into much and dreams into reality. So let us close with this prayer. Father, I thank you that all is accomplished. I thank you that health, abundance, love, and peace are already mine. I thank you that every desire of my heart is fulfilled. I rest now in gratitude, knowing it is so. Gratitude as creative power is far more than polite words, whispered thanks, or a ritual spoken at the dinner table. It is not about rehearsed phrases, nor is it limited to acknowledging what we can see with our eyes. True thanksgiving springs from the inner awareness that what we desire, what we have longed for, is already ours in the unseen. Gratitude becomes powerful the moment we understand that it is not an afterthought once something has happened, but a living force that precedes the visible manifestation. To give thanks is to declare with conviction, it is already done. When we approach gratitude from this higher place, we no longer treat it as a reaction to circumstances, but as the cause of them. It is the invisible key that unlocks the doors of abundance, love, health, peace, and fulfillment. Gratitude is the language of faith. It is the evidence of things not seen. The moment you say thank you, not as a request, but as a recognition, you are aligning yourself with the reality you wish to experience. You are acknowledging that God has already provided, that the blessing is not on its way, but has already taken root in the eternal now. This understanding transforms prayer itself. Instead of approaching God with a sense of lack, pleading for what seems absent, we enter into communion with Him by affirming that He has already answered. Gratitude shifts the state of consciousness from waiting to receiving. It moves us out of longing and into fulfillment. It creates the feeling that the promise has already been kept, and it is this inner acceptance that clothes the unseen with form. Consider how different your heart feels when you plead for something compared to when you give thanks for it as though it is already here. Pleading carries the energy of distance, a reminder that what you want seems far away. Gratitude carries the energy of completion, the joy of holding the gift already, and it is the state of completion that magnetizes life to bring forth the very evidence you seek. Gratitude is not passive, it is the highest form of creation. To say thank you before the outer world changes is to step into the role of co-creator with God. It is to call those things which are not as though they were. It is a recognition of abundance, even in the face of lack, of health in the face of sickness, of peace in the face of turmoil. And in that recognition, the old dissolves, and the new begins to appear. When you live in thanksgiving, you cease to measure life by appearances. You rest in the truth that unseen forces are already at work on your behalf. The more you give thanks, the more life multiplies the reasons for you to do so. Gratitude becomes a cycle of creative expansion, a fountain that never runs dry. It is not a ritual, but the very breath of faith, the assurance that you already possess in spirit all that your heart could ever desire. The invisible becomes visible when we learn to trust that every blessing begins in the unseen before it is clothed in form. Too often we look only at the outer world, measuring life by what the eyes can see and the hands can touch, forgetting that every visible thing once existed as an invisible idea. The house was first a vision in the mind of the builder. The harvest was first a seed buried in the soil. The invention was first a thought in the imagination of its creator. So it is with the blessings of our lives. They are first conceived in the realm of faith before appearing in the physical world. Faith is the womb of creation. It is the space where the invisible takes shape long before the senses confirm it. To believe in blessings before they are visible is not to deceive ourselves, but to align with the eternal law that everything manifests twice, first inwardly, then outwardly. When we hold in faith the picture of what we desire, we are cradling the seed of a blessing already given by God. Our task is not to beg for it, but to nurture it with trust, gratitude, and expectancy until it becomes visible to all. The unseen is not less real simply because it is hidden. Consider the wind. It cannot be seen with the eye, yet its effects are undeniable. In the same way, the blessing that you carry in faith is invisible, but its reality is certain. The moment you accept it within, its journey into form has begun. The invisible is the cause, the visible is the effect. To focus only on appearances is to live in the shadow, but to recognize the unseen as real is to live in the truth of creation. When we pray with thanksgiving, we are not waiting for something distant to arrive. We are acknowledging that in the invisible realm, the blessing already exists. Gratitude waters the seed. Patience allows it to grow. Faith anchors us in the certainty that what is unseen will become seen. The outer world has no choice but to reflect the inner conviction we carry. To walk in faith is to live as though the blessing were already in your hands. It is to give thanks for the answered prayer while the world around you still appears unchanged. But appearances are only temporary, shifting with the winds of belief. The invisible, once accepted in faith, will press itself into the visible with perfect certainty. Just as dawn follows night, the blessing held within will reveal itself in time. So let us no longer measure reality only by what is visible. The greatest truths are often hidden, awaiting recognition. Every answered prayer, every miracle, every breakthrough is first born in silence and invisibility. When you dare to see with the eyes of faith, you discover that the invisible is the most powerful realm of all, for it contains within it every blessing you will ever need, waiting patiently to be made visible in your life. Living in the end is one of the most transformative states of consciousness we can enter. It is the practice of giving thanks, as though the prayer has already been answered, of feeling the joy of fulfillment before the evidence appears. Most people approach prayer with longing, with eyes fixed on what is missing, but living in the end shifts the entire perspective. Instead of asking, "When will it come?" you rest in the certainty that it is already here. Gratitude becomes the proof of your faith, the signal to God and to yourself that you accept the blessing as complete. When you live in the end, you abandon the posture of waiting. You no longer postpone joy, peace, or confidence until conditions change. Instead, you step into the state of having. You thank God not for what is on its way, but for what is already accomplished in the unseen. This act of thanksgiving is not make-believe. It is the recognition that creation is finished, that every blessing you could ever desire already exists in the eternal realm. By giving thanks now, you pull that reality into the present moment, clothing it with form and substance. Think of how a child receives a gift with unrestrained joy, never doubting that it belongs to them the moment it is placed in their hands. Living in the end is to carry that same childlike certainty, not waiting for outer confirmation, but delighting in the possession of it within. The heart says, "It is mine," and the world eventually aligns to make it visible. That attitude in advance is not an illusion. It is the creative force that compels reality to reshape itself according to your inner conviction. This way of being is powerful because it dissolves resistance. When you live in longing, you create a vibration of lack, and lack continues to appear. But when you live in the end, thanksgiving flows naturally and your state declares abundance. The law of life responds not to what you hope for, but to what you embody. Living in the end is embodiment. It is stepping into the reality of the answered prayer and refusing to entertain its absence. It may feel unusual at first. The outer world may contradict your inner vision. But if you persist, giving thanks daily as though the blessing is already accomplished, something remarkable happens. Circumstances rearrange themselves, doors open, people appear, and opportunities unfold in ways you could never have predicted. The outer world is compelled to reflect the inner world of thanksgiving and fulfillment. So let your prayer today be one of completed gratitude. Say, "Thank you, Father, for it is done." Rest in that assurance. Feel the joy of possession now, not later. Walk, speak, and act from the state of having already received, for the truth is you have. Living in the end is the secret that turns unseen prayers into visible blessings. Thanksgiving is the bridge between desire and manifestation. And the moment you give thanks as though it is already yours, it becomes so. Faith in the present moment is a recognition that we are not waiting for blessings to arrive in some distant future, but receiving them now through inner conviction. Too often we are tempted to believe that life will only become good once certain conditions are met, once the money comes, once the relationship appears, once the healing takes place. This mindset pushes fulfillment into tomorrow and robs us of the power of today. True faith does not dwell in the hope of someday. It lives in the certainty of now. It is an inner knowing that the blessing is already accomplished and is unfolding perfectly in this very moment. To live in faith is to stop postponing your joy, your gratitude, and your peace. It is to step into the reality that what you have prayed for exists already in the invisible realm, and that by conviction you draw it into your experience. Faith in the present moment is not about ignoring reality, but about seeing a deeper reality, the eternal truth that God's blessings are already complete. It is the decision to dwell in this awareness. even when appearances seem to contradict it. When we live in tomorrow, we unconsciously affirm lack. I don't have it yet, but I will. This statement pushes the blessing further away, but when we live in the present moment, our inner speech declares, it is mine now. The conviction of having draws circumstances into alignment because the outer world is compelled to reflect the state of the inner world. Faith in the now is a magnet. It pulls unseen blessings into visible form. This way of living requires us to silence the voice of doubt and the habit of delay. Doubt says, maybe it will happen later. Faith says, it is already done. Delay says, I'll feel grateful when I see the result. Faith says, I feel grateful now because the result exists in truth. The shift is subtle but profound. By resting in the present moment with thanksgiving, we dissolve the tension of waiting. We live as receivers, not seekers. We walk in fulfillment, not in longing. Faith in the now is also freedom. It frees us from anxiety about the future and regret about the past. In the present, all is well. In the present, we are complete. In the present, the blessing is already flowing. When you breathe deeply and center yourself in gratitude, you feel it, you sense the abundance, the peace, the love that has always been with you. And as you remain in that state, the outer world catches up with the inner conviction. So let this be the practice. Receive now. Say within yourself, I have it. I thank you, Father, that it is done. Release the habit of waiting. Live in the present as though the prayer is already fulfilled, because in truth it is. Faith in the present moment is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the unseen and the seen. It is not about tomorrow, it is about now. And now is the only place where God's blessings can ever be received. The silent agreement with God is not made through many words, elaborate rituals, or outward displays. It is made through gratitude. Gratitude is the purest language of alignment with divine abundance. When we give thanks sincerely, we are entering into a quiet covenant with the source of all life, acknowledging that everything we need has already been provided. This gratitude does not need to be shouted, nor does it demand recognition from others. It is the inner whisper of the soul, a gentle but powerful acknowledgement. I am one with the abundance of God. This agreement is silent because it does not rely on noise or striving. It is felt in the heart before it is spoken by the lips. The moment you feel gratitude, you are testifying that God has already answered, that the blessing is already yours. Gratitude is the seal on the invisible promise, the signature on the covenant between Creator and creation. By saying thank you, not for what might come, but for what already is, you are declaring your alignment with divine abundance. Every time you pause to give thanks, you are stepping into harmony with the flow of life. You are shifting from resistance to acceptance, from fear to faith, from lack to fulfillment. Gratitude does not complain, it does not measure what is missing, it does not argue with appearances. Instead, it sees through appearances and celebrates the truth that abundance is the natural state of the universe and that you are an heir to it. This is the silent agreement. To walk in faith by living as though you already possess the fullness of God's blessings. In this way, gratitude becomes more than a polite habit. It is a spiritual practice, a creative act. To live in constant thanksgiving is to remain attuned to the divine frequency of abundance. When you feel grateful, your heart and mind are lifted, your vision expands, and opportunities begin to appear effortlessly. Gratitude draws to itself more reasons to be grateful, because life echoes back the vibration you offer. By maintaining gratitude, you remain aligned with the source, and that alignment ensures that blessings continually flow into your life. The silent agreement with God requires no bargaining, no conditions, no promises of sacrifice. It is not about convincing God to bless you. It is about recognizing that you are already blessed. Gratitude acknowledges what is unseen as real, and in doing so gives it permission to become visible. It is the bridge between desire and fulfillment, between prayer and its manifestation. So let gratitude be your constant inner language. Whisper thanks in the morning when you rise and in the evening when you rest. Give thanks not only for what has already appeared, but for what exists now in the unseen, waiting to emerge. Each act of gratitude renews your silent covenant with God, affirming your trust in divine abundance. In this agreement, there is no striving, only receiving. No fear, only faith. No lack, only fullness. Gratitude is your confirmation that you and God are one, and that abundance is forever your inheritance. Thanksgiving is not only a response to blessings already seen, it is also the very force that multiplies them. Whatever we appreciate expands. Whatever we sincerely give thanks for grows richer, deeper, and more abundant in our lives. Gratitude is not passive. It is active, creative, magnetic. It takes what is small and increases it. It takes what is hidden and brings it forward. It takes what is desired and makes it manifest. Thanksgiving is the law of multiplication at work. When you give thanks for even the smallest blessing, you set in motion a cycle of increase. Consider how a simple act of gratitude can change the tone of a day. A heart filled with thanksgiving draws more reasons to be thankful. Opportunities arise, relationships deepen, health strengthens, and peace expands. Life mirrors back the state of your inner world, and gratitude declares that abundance is already present. In doing so, it calls forth more abundance. This principle can be seen in the smallest details of life. When you give thanks for a meal, you enjoy it more fully. When you give thanks for a relationship, love flows more freely. When you give thanks for health, your body responds with greater vitality. And when you give thanks for wealth, even before it appears, doors open for increase. Thanksgiving does not wait for outer confirmation, it creates it. By appreciating what is, and even more so, what is yet to come, you are multiplying your blessings in advance. The opposite is also true. When we complain or dwell on lack, we diminish what we already have and push away what we desire. Complaining contracts, gratitude expands, lack closes doors, thanksgiving opens them wide. The choice is always ours, to focus on what is missing or to magnify what is present. By choosing gratitude, we place ourselves in harmony with the divine law of increase, and life cannot help but return to us multiplied good. Thanksgiving as multiplication is not about forcing results, but about resting in the joy of having already received. When you say, "Thank you, Father, for this blessing," you are not only affirming what is, you are sowing seeds for what will be. Gratitude plants, waters, and nurtures the unseen until it blossoms into visible form. It is a quiet yet powerful creative act, one that ensures blessings do not stagnate but continue to flow and multiply. So let your heart be trained in thanksgiving. Give thanks for the breath in your body, for the opportunities unfolding, for the desires of your heart that are even now taking shape in the unseen. Give thanks for answered prayers, whether the evidence has appeared or not. Each word of gratitude is a seed of multiplication, a signal to life that you are ready for more. Thanksgiving does not just acknowledge blessings, it increases them. The more you thank God, the more reasons you will find to thank Him. Gratitude is the soil where miracles grow, the law of abundance in motion. Whatever you appreciate expands, and in that expansion you discover that thanksgiving is not the end of blessings, but the very force that multiplies them. We have seen that gratitude is not a ritual, nor a mere reaction to life's circumstances. It is the very power that shapes reality. Every blessing begins unseen, takes root in faith, and becomes visible when we live as though it is already ours. By giving thanks, we align ourselves with divine abundance, we make a silent covenant with God, and we multiply every gift entrusted to us. Let us therefore walk forward, not in longing, but in fulfillment, not in waiting, but in receiving. May our hearts remain in constant thanksgiving. Gratitude is both the seed and the harvest, the prayer and the answer. As we live in this spirit, our lives will overflow with peace, joy, and abundance beyond measure. Let us say thanks. Thank you all for joining in this reflection. May the spirit of gratitude remain with you today and always. God bless you.